Anakin! I have the high ground!
Welcome to Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy, and happy Disney Plus Day, everybody! We're going to be covering a lot of stuff, but first, let's start with the sneak peek of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, though it seems like there's not much revealed here, even this concept art tells us volumes about this series, the tone, and how this series will perfectly bridge the two trilogies. So, the showrunner and director of several of the episodes is Deborah Chow. She directed two of The Mandalorian's best Season 1 episodes, The Sin and The Reckoning. In fact, a lot of the new Star Wars series are made by the same talent that made The Mandalorian. They'll all most likely be using the Volume, the projection system that creates virtual sets, so every series is going to have the same feel. So the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is set right between the two trilogies, 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. Now, we've actually seen some inklings of Obi-Wan's life on Tatooine before. In the 2015 Star Wars series, Luke goes back to Tatooine and finds Ben's journal in a box marked for Luke. Parts of the journal told stories about Yoda, but the bulk of it was documenting Ben's time on Tatooine, and I think that'll be important to know for this series. In the first journal entry, he's really frustrated that he's no longer a Jedi. He can't help people when they're in trouble, and he has to keep his lightsaber hidden away. His mission is to protect Luke, but Owen makes him keep his distance from the family. See, Owen, like Ben, was just trying to protect Luke from the dangers of adventuring that he thinks killed Anakin.
He has too much of his father in him.
That's what I'm afraid of.
This also frustrates Ben because he knows that he should be training Luke, but Owen won't allow it.
Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough, but your uncle wouldn't allow it.
But even though he keeps his distance, Ben does manage to protect the Lars family. He fights off Tusken Raiders and bandits. At one point, Luke breaks a skyhopper, and Obi-Wan anonymously donates parts to the family. But then Owen goes to Ben's house and dumps them out and says, "Stay away from my family." Later, he saves Owen's life from a Wookiee bounty hunter, and after that, there's kind of a truce where Owen winks at him and says, "Thank you, but keep your distance from my family." So this is basically all we know about Obi-Wan's time between the trilogies. Well, okay, wait, no, Rebels did show a final duel between him and Darth Maul that takes place after this series. So let's look at this concept art. This shows Obi-Wan riding an eopai, the animal that he rode at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and what this incredibly inquisitive stranger was riding when she asked Rey her last name. And by the way, a lot of people thought it was weird that this old lady randomly asked Rey's last name, but I'm from a small town where old ladies will talk about people's family trees for hours on end. Hours. So I totally bought this moment of Rise of Skywalker. So Deborah Chow says,
"This is quite a dark time that we're coming into with him."
Right when we see this Imperial base. So a few things I noticed about this. One, these are all the regular human recruits. No one is wearing old clone armor or has old clone markings. Like we saw in the Bad Batch, the Empire is fully transitioned away from clones. This is important because it means that none of these troopers will have had any experience fighting Jedi and no safeguards against Jedi mind tricks. Now this base is enormous, but I don't think it's Coruscant. Look at the rocky cliffs outside. To me, this looks more like a fortress embedded into a mountain. Maybe Eadu from Rogue One, where the Imperial think tank was building the Death Star. And this could also be Mustafar, the location of Vader and Obi-Wan's fateful duel, where Vader built his palace. But more on that location in a second. For me, the most telling shot is of this person leaving a shuttle on what looks like Tatooine. This looks a lot like a Sith Inquisitor. These are the Sith assassins who were trained to hunt Jedi Knights. Some of them are former Jedi, others were raised from a young age by Palpatine. Though they're not fully fledged Sith or Sith apprentices, they do use the dark side and serve the Emperor. The Sith Inquisitors first appeared in the Knights of Old Republic game, but they've been in the canon comics, video games, and the show Rebels. So there's only a few women Inquisitors that we've seen so far. One is called the Second Sister, a former Jedi apprentice named Trilla Sudhir from the game Fallen Order. But Vader killed her 6 years before this series is set. Another is the Ninth Sister, who has a much larger build, so this wouldn't be her. I think it would be cool if this was the Seventh Sister, who appears in Star Wars Rebels. We never knew much about her, but in her duel with Ahsoka, it seemed like they knew each other. My fan theory is that the Seventh Sister was a Clone Wars character named Barriss Offee. She was a star pupil at the Jedi Temple, but during the Clone Wars, she became disillusioned by the Jedi and ended up framing Ahsoka for bombing the Jedi Temple. Now this eventually leads to Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order, which fostered Anakin's distrust of the Jedi Council and contributed to his fall. So it would fit really well if this was Barriss, now hunting other Jedi across the galaxy. In fact, maybe Ahsoka Tano will appear in this show as some kind of Jedi in distress that Obi-Wan goes to help. Now in the show Star Wars Rebels, Ahsoka was surprised to find out that Darth Vader was Anakin, so it's likely that Obi-Wan, if they met, wouldn't want to break her heart by telling her the news about her former master. So let's assume this Inquisitor is on Tatooine. She could be there to do business with Jabba the Hutt. Or she could be there because Obi-Wan slipped up and used his powers in public and she was sent to find him. Or maybe Luke started showing Force sensitivity and the Emperor sensed a disturbance in the Force. If that's the case, then Obi-Wan would lure the Inquisitor off-world to distract her from Luke. This could explain why he leaves Tatooine. Now, at this point, Vader does not know he has any kids. He doesn't find that out till after the Battle of Yavin. And when he does, it is a major moment. He realizes the Emperor lied to him about Padme being dead.
It seems in your anger, you killed her.
And after this, he plots to remove Palpatine, which is why he offered Luke a chance to overthrow the Emperor in The Empire Strikes Back.
Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
So then we see two drawings of a planet that is not Tatooine. This one has kind of a backwater look, but it's definitely not Tatooine. There's too much care and design in the architecture. But the next one has this Blade Runner underbelly of the city kind of feel. At first, you might think this was Coruscant, but look, I doubt it. No way would Obi-Wan want to return there. He's got too much heat on him. We've also seen similar looking planets in the Bad Batch, like Pantora or Ord Mantell. Now this next shot is of snow speeders in a kind of natural hangar, like a cave. Of course, we did see these speeders in The Empire Strikes Back at the Hoth Rebel base. But at this point, there is no Rebel Alliance. When Star Wars Rebels begins, 5 years after this story is set, the Alliance is really several local pockets of resistance, with almost no communication between these different cells. But there are local planetary forces and militias. So this could be a local planetary force that originally built the speeders. It's cool to think that we'll see the beginnings of some of these Rebel Alliance ships, showing how the Alliance pulled them into the military. Obi-Wan might come here to find a fighter for himself, maybe cash in a favor from an old friend. This would help him avoid hitching rides on transports where he might be noticed, though I don't think the snow speeders had lightspeed drives. Then the trailer transitions to reveal Vader. In New Hope, Vader is able to sense Obi-Wan on the Death Star.
I sense something, a presence I've not felt since...
But we don't know when exactly that was. Remember, Obi-Wan left Vader for dead, so maybe when he hears about a Sith called Darth Vader roaming the galaxy, he's like, oh my god, Anakin's alive, I have to go defeat him and finish this. So he would leave Tatooine to finish what he started. That could be the series' call to adventure. Obi-Wan might leave the planet to assassinate Vader because maybe he has a dream of Darth Vader turning Luke to the dark side. Or maybe Obi-Wan is off Tatooine for some mission, like to find a Jedi holocron or to save the life of a Jedi in trouble. And then he happens to come near Vader, who's alerted to his presence through the Force. Either way, by the time A New Hope rolls around, he knows Vader is alive.
He is here.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. The most beautiful thing of all is that it's brought me back together with Hayden.
Now, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christiansen got along great during the making of the prequels. George Lucas even had to remind them to stop making lightsaber sounds during their fight.
You would say, hey, that looks really great, but I can see your mouth moving.
Deborah Chow says,
We are bringing back Hayden Christiansen to reprise the role of Darth Vader.
Because at the end of Revenge of the Sith, this actually is Hayden Christiansen in the suit. The next piece of concept art shows Vader in his palace on Mustafar. Notice you can actually see these plains of lava below. Now we actually saw this palace in Rogue One, and we saw how it was built in the comics. Basically, Vader built this massive Sith shrine here because it's where he was born, and because it's a special place that lets him communicate with Padme in the world of the dead. This hollow he's looking at could be Obi-Wan. Maybe it could be that, like I said, Ben accidentally revealed his powers. And let's say Vader did know that Obi-Wan was on Tatooine. He would think that Obi-Wan hid there because it's the last place Anakin would ever return to.
I don't like sand.
Not because he would have hidden away Anakin's child. But revisiting places like Mustafar is reminding us of their last fight and getting us ready for their rematch. So we see Hayden training in a mask. Now he's following the trainer in front, but we also see another guy here who's training with another lightsaber prop. I'm wondering if this could be an actor playing yet another Sith Inquisitor. And then the money shot, Obi-Wan and Vader's rematch. This looks like it's in the city that we saw before, but now it's on fire. If Vader knew that Obi-Wan was here, he would have burned the place to the ground to kill him, or at least to soften him up. And the title's revealed, showing Ben's name appear through the sand, like Obi-Wan himself emerging out of the Dune Sea. Now, for me, the big question is, after Vader and Obi-Wan's rematch, what happens? Vader isn't surprised that Obi-Wan is alive in A New Hope. so he knows he didn't kill him. So did he just give up looking for him? And also, why doesn't Obi-Wan go back and try to kill Vader? Whatever their duel is, it's apparently some kind of truce. But I'm betting it's one that Obi-Wan wins, because Vader says this line.
When I left you, I was but a learner. Now I am the master.
That sounds like Obi-Wan schooled him for the second fight in a row.
Don't try it.
I'm also just waiting for Obi-Wan to shut Vader down with a sick burn like, Padme would be ashamed of you. But what do you want to see happen in this show? What are your theories? Let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.